I recently received the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3 dynamic microphone. This is a microphone that has both XLR and USB outputs, so you can directly connect it to your computer, your smartphone, or to an audio interface. One of the things that attracted me to this microphone is that it's almost all metal construction, so it appears to be a high-quality product, as opposed to a lot of microphones at this price point which are largely plastic. Fifine provided this microphone for this review, and they asked me to take care of a couple things for them in this review, and I want to have full disclosure and let you know exactly what the terms are. They asked me to put the name of this microphone, the Amplitank Tank 3, as part of the title of this video so that it's searchable. They also asked me to provide a purchase link down in the description below, so if you see this product and you're interested in it, you can obtain one easily, and you're purchasing from the official US distributor, so it makes sure that you get authentic product and product support. In addition, that link will provide me with a small amount of referral credit on Amazon, and I appreciate that. It doesn't change your purchase experience any, there's no additional fees, and it doesn't put you on a mailing list, but it does help support the channel a little bit. Other than that, they asked me to pronounce her name, Fifine, because that's not exactly the English spelling. And they didn't give me any more guidance, except they did suggest that I am free to compare this microphone to other microphones, which is what I'll be doing in this video. I'm going to compare this budget USB microphone to some classic microphones and some high-end studio microphones. So we'll see if it can punch outside of its price point. In addition, being able to compare this microphone to a top-end studio microphone should help us get some clarification as to whether or not there are any frequency ranges in this microphone that are attenuated or accentuated. So with that, let's open up the box and see what we get when you purchase the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3 microphone. As we open the box, we see an instruction guide which is written in English, and it's surprisingly complete. The microphone is well packed in foam for its protection. The package includes a rather long USB cable and the microphone. You'll notice that there is no stand included with this microphone, so you'll have to provide a microphone stand. If you're going to use this in a desktop application, you may want to consider one of the companion Fifine boom arms, and I'll give a link to those down in the video description below. The Amplitank Tank 3. It's a nice looking microphone, and it feels solid and heavy. It's all metal construction with the exception of a couple of minor elements such as the control knobs and the button. It's approximately the same size as a Shure SM58, and these controls are available when the microphone is in USB mode. The first control is the amount of output level from the microphone in USB mode, and the second control is the amount of headphone monitoring drive, how loud your monitors are. On the top of the microphone there's a push button mute switch, which again is available in USB mode. The microphone is held by a side saddle on the other side, which can be loosened and adjusted for positioning. On the rear of the microphone you'll find a USB-C connector and a 3.5mm headphone output jack. And those are of course used when the microphone is in USB mode with its internal audio interface, and in that mode the controls on the side of the microphone for microphone gain and headphone level are active, as is the push button on the top of it for mute. There's also an XLR output for use with standard audio interfaces, and in that mode the controls on the microphone for volume and mute are not active. On the top side of the microphone is a mute switch. This switch is only available when the microphone is used in USB mode. In XLR mode, the microphone is active at all times. In USB mode, while the microphone is connected and active, the switch will illuminate in green. When you depress the switch, which is a mechanical switch with soft action, it will change to a red color, indicating that the microphone is now muted. Let's take a moment to take a look at the published frequency response chart for the Amplitank Tank 3 microphone. Before we look at that one, I want to show you the frequency response chart of the Shure SM81 Studio Condenser microphone. The SM81 is an example of a microphone with an exceptionally flat frequency response. This kind of graph impresses me with its technical accuracy. This microphone is almost reference accurate for calibration purposes. Now, we don't always necessarily want microphones with perfectly flat frequency response. Many classic microphones have certain lifts or dips in the frequency response which give them their particular character that is very desirable. But this here would be an example of a microphone with an exceptionally flat frequency response that I would consider to be a testimony to great engineering. Now let's take a look at the published frequency response of the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3 microphone. First, I want to express my appreciation for Fifine's candor in releasing the frequency response graph of a budget microphone and doing it in high resolution so we can really examine the detail. One of the things that I immediately notice on this chart is in the upper right-hand corner it says AP, which suggests to me that this was generated by an audio precision analyzer, which is a great piece of test equipment and should be capable of providing accurate data, providing the testing protocols are well conducted. As I look at this graph, my initial impression is that it's overall pretty flat, and it should be a pretty decent sounding microphone. There is a gentle upward slope to the graph overall, suggesting that it's going to have a little bit more high frequencies than low frequencies, so it might be a little bit of a bright sounding microphone. Conversely, it might be a little bit bass deficient, perhaps. But this isn't a radical slope or a very fast slope, and it covers the entire range. So I like that. That's a good sign. It'll probably be a good sounding microphone. There are some concerning perturbations that you'll notice. One of them is down here between 200 and 300 hertz, where you see a series of peaks and dips. And unfortunately, that is in the low end of the vocal range. So as we listen to this microphone, you might want to listen to the lower mid-range to see if it sounds smooth and natural and correct. These aren't massive perturbations, but there is some artifacts there. And then likewise, you see some of the similar kinds of action happening between 5 to 8 kilohertz on the high end. And I'm more concerned about peaks than dips. Our ear brain is pretty good at filling in the dips. The peaks are harder for us to ignore acoustically. And so I don't think that these are going to be bad-sounding perturbations necessarily, and especially on the high end of the graph between 5 to 8 kilohertz, that's getting to the extreme edge of the vocal range. That's just the high-end sibilance at that point. So I don't think that's going to have a major impact when used as a podcasting mic, but it is something to be aware of. So you might want to take a listen to the high end to make sure that the sibilance sounds correct and natural. Now, in both cases, on the low end and the high end, these deviations that I see, I believe are probably most likely the result of the mechanical way this microphone is constructed so that it has acoustical cancellation abilities that allow the microphone to have a tightly directional characteristic. The more directional a microphone is made, the more of an engineering challenge it is to maintain really flat frequency response. And so I think that the acoustical cancellation abilities of the microphone have introduced some of these artifacts here, and those artifacts may be a small price to pay for the strong directional characteristic that this mic has with its ability to reject off-axis sound coming in from the rear or the back and make it a more suitable microphone for use in environments where you don't have necessarily a controlled recording space. So once again, I appreciate that Fifine has provided this graph for our examination, and overall I think it looks pretty good, especially for a microphone at this price point. Can you identify this microphone? It could be the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3 microphone selling for well under $100. It could be the Shure SM58 vocal microphone for about $125. It could be the Audio-Technica AT2020 condenser microphone that sells for a bit more than the SM58. Or it could be the Neumann U87A, which is a studio condenser microphone selling for over $3,000. Can you identify this microphone? It could be the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3 microphone selling for well under $100. It could be the Shure SM58 vocal microphone for about $125. It could be the Audio-Technica AT2020 condenser microphone that sells for a bit more than the SM58. Or it could be the Neumann U87A, which is a studio condenser microphone selling for over $3,000. Can you identify this microphone? It could be the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3 microphone selling for well under $100. It could be the Shure SM58 vocal microphone for about $125. It could be the Audio-Technica AT2020 condenser microphone that sells for a bit more than the SM58. Or it could be the Neumann U87A, which is a studio condenser microphone selling for over $3,000. Can you identify this microphone? It could be the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3 microphone selling for well under $100. It could be the Shure SM58 vocal microphone for about $125. It could be the Audio-Technica AT2020 condenser microphone that sells for a bit more than the SM58. Or it could be the Neumann U87A, which is a studio condenser microphone selling for over $3,000. This is the Neumann U87A. This is the Shure SM58. This is the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3. This is the Audio-Technica AT2020. Well, you heard the test. What do you think? Were you surprised? Of course, right now I'm using the Fifine Amplitank Tank 3 microphone, and I thought it performed well. I thought it sounded good. And I was a bit surprised at how good it sounded for the price that it sells at. So let's talk a bit about some of the pluses and minuses that I see with this microphone. You'll notice that I'm using a foam pop filter on it, which has a modest effect of controlling the plosives. I found that if I speak directly into the front of this microphone, it has a propensity to have a problem with plosives. Now, it's not worse than the other microphones I have. This is pretty typical for most mics. And so, therefore, with most mics, I suggest the use of a pop filter if you're going to be close talking it. And like I say, I don't think this one's worse than my other mics, but it does have this issue if you're really on top of the microphone and talking directly into it. So I would suggest that you talk across the microphone rather than directly into it. So have it close to you, but don't speak directly into the microphone to reduce the propensity for those popping sounds. I put a simple foam cover over this microphone, which helps a little bit, doesn't take care of the problem entirely, but this pop filter is the pop filter that I would normally use with my Audio-Technica AT2020. It shares the same size body. And if you're interested in picking up one of these inexpensive foam pop filters that's this size, you can check out my recommended products list in the description of this video down below. So check that out. In addition, also check out the Fifine boom arms if you're going to be using this microphone in a desktop situation. I think those boom arms represent pretty good value, like this microphone. One of the things I like about this microphone quite a bit is its ability to reject off-axis sound. As long as I'm talking into the front of the microphone, it gets good, clean, clear pickup. But if I move over to the side or the rear, you'll hear how my voice just drops way out pretty quickly. And so the microphone has a strong ability to reject all that off-axis background sound from your room. And since most of us are not recording in a sound-controlled space, a recording studio, we're working in our homes or in other more lively acoustical environments, this can have a big impact in providing better quality recordings or better quality content. And this has more rejection than most of the other microphones that I have, so I think it makes it a good choice for podcasting type situations. All of the tests and the listening that we've done so far from this mic have been through the XLR interface into a standard audio interface. And in my listening tests with the USB connection, to my ears it sounds almost identical to the sound I'm getting off of the XLR cable. And the microphone in USB mode has worked really easy and well for me. When I plug it into my Windows 11 computer, it just took a second and the computer immediately recognized this as a Windows sound device and switched the Windows sound settings over to this microphone as audio input and its internal monitoring as the audio output for the computer. And I didn't have to make any setting changes in the computer, install any software, or anything like that. It was just plug and play and go. Easy. Likewise, with my Android smartphone, I had a similar experience where I used a USB-C to USB-C cable from the microphone to the smartphone. I plugged into the smartphone, and within a couple of seconds, the smartphone recognized this microphone attached, and it switched the audio input to the mic and the audio output from the phone to the mic's monitoring. So again, just plug and go. No fuss, no settings changes. Didn't have to do anything like that, and it worked great. As a matter of fact, I could even record video on the phone. And I would start the recording using the phone's built-in microphones. And while the recording was rolling, I could plug in this USB Tank 3 microphone, and the phone would switch over and use this as the sound source, even while the video was rolling. And so, really easy, and it just works very well. And using this microphone on the smartphone worked perfectly, and I got great sounding audio that way. So what could I complain about with the Tank 3 microphone? Not much. I think it works really well. I think it sounds good. I think it's priced right. I think that it has a nice feel to it. It's solid, it's metal, it feels a little bit hefty, like a quality device. I think it's a very nice product. There are a couple of minor things that I might do differently if I was the manufacturer, such as I'm not a real big fan of having these controls on the side of it for microphone gain and headphone level. I think they're somewhat of having warts on the surface. I would have moved those probably to small controls on the bottom of the microphone. They're not the kind of controls that I feel the need to frequently adjust, not in my usage anyway. And so if those were small controls on the back, I think that might be a slicker, nicer looking package. And likewise, this side saddle arrangement, it works okay. It's fine. I have no real issue with it. But the microphone is a little bit sensitive to handling noise. If I bang against this mic stand, you'll hear it coupled into the microphone. Not unusual. And so it would be my choice to remove these knobs and remove the side saddle and instead provide with the microphone a inexpensive shock mount attachment that the microphone would slip into. Other thing is that the internal audio interface in USB mode is 16-bit, and I think that's perfectly fine. It sounds good, it works well. I've got no complaint with it really, and that's the industry standard. Some people might prefer to have the option of running 24-bit ultra high fidelity recording. Now, I might argue that ultra high fidelity recording seems a bit excessive when dealing with a budget microphone, so maybe there's not much point to that. But that's one thing that some people might say is the detractor, which is that it's only a 16-bit interface. Personally, I don't find that to be an issue. But overall, I think the microphone looks good, it works good, it's priced right. And if you're looking for a microphone for doing podcasting or YouTube creation or video teleconferencing or multiplayer gaming, this might be a microphone worth considering. I'm impressed by it. It works well for me. And so if you get one, maybe it'll work well for you. If you have one and have some experience with this and want to share your experience, I'd be happy to hear that. Please drop a comment down below. And once again, if you're interested in any of the products that I've mentioned, there will be links underneath this video, and check out my list of recommended equipment. So, thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it, hope it was helpful, and I hope you come back and watch more. Thanks so much. Take care.